Walker Kessler and Keyonte George are both thriving in the preseason, and it's exciting if you're a Jazz fan. Next on Locked on Jazz. Bum 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 bum.
You are Locked on Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked on Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz. Today, we'll go through last night's preseason game against the Sacramento Kings, which was super fun. Both teams played all their regular guys. Mike Brown basically played 8 guys in the second half and in the whole ball game. And everyone went down to the wire. Final shot by De'Aaron Fox does not fall. Jazz win. And Walker Kessler and Keyonte George are thriving. Jazz looked like a basketball team last night. It was also a perfect night to see what role and how the youngsters need to play this year and what we're looking for out of them and what's a fair expectation for them. And the turnover problem is real. Oh my gosh, is it real? But it's not the kids. We'll talk about all those things coming up. Plus, ESPN rank is out. Any Jazz players on it? Anywhere? Lauri, of course, but anyone else. That's all coming up. As I mentioned, I'm David Locke, radio voice of the Utah Jazz, Jazz NBA insider. This is Locked on Jazz. It is your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz, giving you insight, expertise, geeky numbers, and hopefully making it way better to be a Jazz fan each and every day. Thank you so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen. We are free. We are available on all podcasting apps. Hit subscribe. If you're on YouTube, hit subscribe and hit that little bell button. We want to get to 10,000 subscribers. That'd be fun. We're working our way there. So make it happen faster, please. That would be great. And for those of you that are everydayers, you're simply the best. Appreciate it very much. It is the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's show is brought to you in part by Game Time, the official ticketing app of Locked On. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Who do I start with, Walker, Kessler, or Keyonte George? Let's start with Walker. He looks great. He's bigger, he's stronger, he's holding his own, and he played the most physical, demanding player in the NBA who probably plays harder than anyone in Domantas Sabonis last night. And Sabonis was mammoth last night. There's absolutely, you cannot think of anything about Sabonis' game last night. And then you look at Walker. Sabonis had 29 points, 17 rebounds, 8 assists, 2 steals, and he was -8. So let's start with Walker. 28 minutes, 4 for 4 from the field, 9 rebounds, 4 blocks. First thing is he contested 12 shots in 28 minutes. 12 two-point shots, 15 overall shots. Great. Second thing, Jazz defensive rating when Walker Kessler was on the floor last night was a 101.7. And when he was off the floor was a 120. That's exactly what Walker Kessler's supposed to do. And honestly, and I'm just going to kind of say it, I'm leaving John Collins' name out there because John Collins' job is not to be a defensive player. Like he's 6'9", great athlete. We've talked about he's the ultimate tweener. Let's accept for John Collins for what he is, and he did a great job of it last night, and I think the role he's in is going to be terrific. But the defensive rating last night with Walker was a 101.7 when he was on the floor. Sacramento, one of the better offensive teams, the best ever 2 years ago, 14th last year, finished the night last year with a 114.1 offensive rating, a little bit below average. Not sure where offensive rankings are going to be right now, but a little bit below average. So great. And Walker's the reason. So 114.1 for the game, 101.7 when Walker's on the floor. I don't have the numbers. The NBA does not have the numbers up right now that I could find. I just thought of a different way to find it, so I'll do it while we're talking about how to find what his defensive numbers were last night. But I might actually, now that I think about it, there's another way to do it. They were going to do matchup numbers this year, and that will be great. Hopefully they will, because I want to see what Sabonis was against him. So instead, I went through all of Sabonis' shots. And what I thought was interesting about that last night, they don't have any defensive numbers yet this year on NBA.com, was so Sabonis starts the night last night, 8 of 9. And then he only has 3 field goals the rest of the way. He opens the night up with a putback, which is a little bit of, I think. So here's what I think actually happened. Let me go big picture for a second. What I think happened that was great is that John Collins and Walker Kessler were both stunned by the physicality of Domantas Sabonis to start the game, because there's no one else in the league who plays as hard physically and beats you up as much. And then I think both John Collins and Walker Kessler adjusted and got ready for that physicality as the night went on, which is terrific. But if you actually look at what the baskets were, it was a putback early. He got inside Walker. There was a weird play where he gets a cutting dunk, and that happens. There was a loose ball. Everyone scrambled, and then Sabonis got it, and it was no one's fault. He hit a 3, and he got a fast break dunk. Those were his first 4 field goals. Those were all when Walker was on the floor. He didn't at any point, this is where Walker really is valuable. He didn't at any point attack Walker Kessler. Didn't try to go at him in the post. Didn't bat. The first thing he does the minute John Collins comes in the game is he posts John Collins up deep. He missed. Give John credit. John blocked it, I think. Fast break dunk, hits a 5-foot floater, pins John under the rim, pins John under the rim again. Then he has a sequence where he goes up 3 times in a short period of time, just beastly, misses, gets his own rebound, goes back up, misses, and gets fouled the 3rd time. So in his first stint against Walker, he goes 4 for 4, but Walker's not involved in really any of it other than the 3-point shot, which you're allowing Sabonis to shoot. And then against John Collins, he goes 4 for 7, misses the post up on John, defends well, he misses the 2 at the rim, the John Battleby fouls him the 3rd time. Then his shots against Walker in the second half are a 13-footer, a heave. Who cares? It was end of quarter. But in the first quarter, he only takes 1 shot against Walker. Then he tries to power through Walker, treating him like he's John Collins, and Walker blocks the shot. And that's what Walker has to do. And that's where Walker held his ground, had his balance, stronger lower body, was able to own his space and get up and block the shot. That's a huge play. Sabonis can't get off the ground. He always struggles against these bigger guys. And so here you have Sabonis trying to overpower Walker, and Walker now has the strength and the balance to go up and block the shot. His next thing is he tries a 15-footer. Now John Collins comes back in the game, misses a 7-footer. John does a nice job, doesn't get overpowered at any point in the stretch. Walker comes back. He goes in after Walker at the rim, misses. Now I think he's getting tired. He misses a 3. And then he drives down the lane and misses again. Walker defends him perfectly. Sabonis tips it back up and in. And then Sabonis gets an offensive rebound put back late in the game. Great adjustment. So in the second half, when Walker's really defending me, he hits a 13-footer. He gets an offensive rebound put back twice, which is his game. But otherwise, he misses 5 shots. So he goes 3 for 8 in the second half when guarded by Walker. Really guarded by Walker. That's as difficult. Karl Anthony Towns or one of these centers who can just score it is a match. But physically, that's as difficult to match up. And Walker's new strength played to it. And Walker's rebounding was really good. And the defensive rating when Walker was on the floor was a 102. It's like 101.7. That's all you need to know. The other youngster that's thriving is Keyonte George. And honestly, I'm as excited about Keyonte George on this day, October 16th, 2024, as I have been at any day since he's joined the Utah Jazz. And I'll tell you why next. Today's show is brought to you by Intercap Lending. Intercap has been with us for a long time, largely because Brock Worthen is just an amazing dude, and Steve Carter is the best customer service person ever. Brock's the president. Steve is our own personal loan officer. Here's an exciting thing right now. If you're thinking about building a dream house, I want to tell you about a new construction loan program from our friends over at Intercap Lending that they've just rolled out. If you're considering building a new home, this is a game changer. So with the new construction loan program, you can defer all interest payments during construction phase. Yes, you heard that right. No payments until your home is ready. But that's not all. They offer flexible underwriting to cater to your unique financial situation, make it easier for you to get approved. And speaking of approval, you'll love this. Their quick decision-making process means on average, you get an approval in 3 to 4 weeks. That's practically I haven't heard of in the industry. And guess what? They're offering loans up to $3 million, giving you the flexibility to build your dream home without financial constraints. So if you're ready to turn your dream home into reality, check out Intercap Lending's new construction loan program. And as always, give Steve Carter a call at Intercap Lending at 385-800-8528. or email me directly at dlock09@gmail.com to get you connected. Don't miss out on the fantastic opportunity to build your future with confidence and ease. That is Steve Carter over at Intercap Lending. If you need anything more from Steve, any other type of loan, feel free as well to email me and I'll set you up with Steve Carter. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is the official sports book of Locked On. FanDuel is the number one sports book in America. Why? Because it gives you all sorts of great deals, gets you into the action, makes it fun. The app is easy to use. And here's what you need to know right now. You can get in the middle of it with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's at FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com. And if you go to Sportsbook right now, you can bet on the Dodgers and the Mets. They've got a fun little parlay of everyone recording 2 total bases or not. Shohei, Francisco Lindor, Mookie Betts, and Pete Alonso. The Dodgers are favored to win this one. The Shohei is plus 280 to hit a home run in that one. Over the WNBA Finals tonight, the Liberty are a 3.5-point favorite over the Lynx. But Breanna Stewart's points, Sabrina Ionescu's points, Collier's points, you can all bet on all of that. NFL Thursday night, NFL football this week, I believe is Broncos Saints. Am I right on that? I think so. Broncos are a 2.5-point favorite over the Saints as a rookie quarterback matchup taking place there. That's all at FanDuel.com. Thanks so much for making Locked On Jazz your first listen of the day. Thanks to everybody who's participating in our YouTube poll questions. I'm throwing them up on kind of a regular basis there on our YouTube account, much more active over there, sharing notes and stats and everything from you, what's going on. And we've had some fun over there. So let me kind of share, if you don't mind, some of the results of our poll questions that we've had. Yesterday, we asked the question, last night was, how do you feel about Walker Kessler's performance in the preseason? 71% voted impressive and promising, 19% neutral, need to see more games. What do you think the most critical area for the Utah Jazz to focus on the remaining of preseason? 47% said developing young players. 30% said reducing turnovers. Well, you'll be happy about one of those two last night. What aspect of Cody Williams' performance stood out to you most in the game against the Spurs? 34% liked him scoring 11 points, 29% liked the increased scoring shot, and 29% increased his fluid movement on the floor. So the Jazz, get those questions over at the Locked On Jazz YouTube account. Subscribe. Again, we're at 9.3 thousand subscribers. Love to get you over. Love to get us over the 10,000 mark, just because it's pure vanity. I mean, no other reason. Let's be perfectly honest. All right, I am as excited about Keyonte George as I have been at any point since he joined the Utah Jazz. Last year when we watched Keyonte, it was clear he belonged. That was the coolest part about him. You looked at him, you watched him play, and he belonged. But now he's belonging and matching the play of the other guy. De'Aaron Fox did not overwhelm him at any moment last year, and De'Aaron Fox is one of the better guards in the league. Keyonte is in control. He is leading. He is more vocal. He is engaged. He's more focused. He's less loose. And there's one key left for Keyonte George, and that is the ball needs to go in. And the ball didn't go in Baylor, and the ball didn't go in his first year with the Jazz, but so far in the preseason, the ball has gone in. And if the ball goes in, Keyonte George is a bona fide top-level starting guard in the NBA, and the Jazz have something. He's shooting 48% from the field and 43% in three in games against NBA teams. He's higher if you include the New Zealand Breaker games. But he's just different. The most glaring difference Ron Boone and I talked about in postcast last night was that shoot around in San Antonio. He's not going to play. He's had the scary little slip in Dallas. He's okay. He knows he's okay. But he's not going to play, nor is Lauri. And instead of taking the day off and not being involved, instead of standing on the baseline with all of his teammates, he moves to the sideline where the coaches are. And as they're going back and forth and running the script offense, the younger players are, he's yelling out the play call. He's directing traffic. He's encouraging. He's rooting on. He's helping each of the guys. Isaiah Collier's out there at that point. His hamstring hasn't hurt his hamstring yet. He's helping direct him on where to go. The difference between that and Keyonte last year was dramatic. Keyonte, the other one is just Keyonte's general disposition around everyone this year is someone who not only is acting like he belongs, but acting like he knows that this is important and that he's leading. It's really cool to watch right now. As someone who has kids the age of Walker and Keyonte, it's so cool to watch them grow up. And Keyonte has simply grown up. Understandably, last year, probably overwhelmed, not sure what he's supposed to do, how he's supposed to act, what's taking place, all the things of that nature. And instead, this year, you can tell he's come with a complete intention of being present, being engaged, being a leader. And frankly, he's got to take care of himself, and he's taking care of himself brilliantly. He looks so good on the floor. His shots are coming out of natural action. They're not crazed. He got a few late shot clock ones. He has to show up. That's part of the throw up. That's part of the deal when you're the ball handler. But he's taking advantage of driving lanes. He drove with his left shoulder off someone and banked it in. He's knows where his shots are coming from. He's getting all the way to the rim when he needs to. He's driving with his little floater when he needs to. He's going to get to the free throw line. He's taking his 3-point shots, and they're going in. Keyonte looks so different to me. Last year, there was just too cool for school and a lack of focus. And last night, there's a terrible pass late where he throws a one-handed pass and DeRozan steals it and goes the other way. And that's going to happen. And I'm going to guess that doesn't happen again all year. The other one is that the talk around Keyonte is how much he loves the game. Will Hardy last night, I think it was post-game, talking about the guy loves the game, loves the work, loves the process, and is willing to do the things that are most difficult. The nuanced, monotonous work that a lot of guys bail out on, Keyonte thrives on, from Will Hardy last night. That's really important. Things look really encouraging with Walker's growth and Keyonte's growth right now. It's preseason. We'll see. The ball's got to go in. Defensive game plans. Sacramento hit him last night on a blitz he wasn't ready for. Those things are going to happen still. But I don't think you could ask for more out of either of those two guys in the preseason right now. Last night, to me, was a good example. And by the way, let me back up one step on Key. There's some numbers from last year that are going to be fun to watch, develop, and change. So John Collins and Keyonte, who aren't going to play together a ton, were the worst pick and roll combination in the NBA last year. That was his primary pick and roll partner, 412 pick and rolls. They averaged 0.77 points per possession. It was the lowest, I think, of anyone who ran 300 pick and rolls last year. I can double check that and make sure it's true that someone didn't get worse along the way, but that's 0.77 is pretty crazy low. And so now we get to watch those two figure it out. We saw there was a play last night where you could see them beginning to understand how to work each other and how to use each other. I really like the way the Jazz are using John Collins right now. John Collins got bullied on a play last night by Sabonis, and they took it right back the other way and came at Sabonis and was like, okay, fine. I'm 6'9", and you're bigger than I am, and you're going to be able to do a bunch of things. Well, guess what? I'm actually a great offensive player also, and I'm coming right at you. And I thought that's a great way to use John Collins. Now, back to Keyonte. So you start to look at some of these kind of moments in time and these various parts of the season. And, there aren't last year of guys in the NBA that ran, I think it was 400 pick and roll combinations. There's 62 of them. And Keyonte George and John Collins were the lowest number. This isn't that surprising. Scoot Henderson and DeAndre Ayton were right there. Brandon Miller and Nick Richards were right there, young guards with bigs. So now we get to watch it grow. Keyonte and Walker weren't super. They ran 289 to get 6 together. They were 0.89. Not great. Lauri and Keyonte ran some. That was our late game match. They were 0.92. Let's go watch and see how Lauri grows. It takes 5,000 pick and roll plays in the NBA for a guard to get to the point where they're comfortable and they're over 1.0 points per possession regularly. And so we get to see that. The best combination last year was John Collins and Jordan Clarkson. We're seeing that in the second unit together. It looked like a basketball team last night. NBA game, everyone played their guys, and the Jazz looked like a basketball team last night. It was really cool. And Keyonte and Walker thrived. And the other part is we got exactly what I think you'd expect to get from the young players last night. And this is what you should anticipate and be pleased with for the year from if this is what the young players do last night. We'll touch on it next as we continue on Locked On Jazz. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time, the official ticketing app of Locked On. Game Time checks all the boxes you want out of a ticket experience. Okay, first thing, let's just go through the basics. Toggle on the all-in pricing so there's no surprises at checkout. Thank you. Seat view. Yeah, I want to know if I can see. Lowest price guaranteed. Thank you. I don't have to check 3 or 4 different apps to figure out what I'm doing. Instead, I can get the seat view. I get the lowest price guarantee or Game Time credits me 110% of the difference. Now, there's a bunch of fun little features that Game Time has as well. Game Time has Game Time picks. So they talk about the super deal and you get they find the super deal for you. They know what you want and what you're looking for. And the app will customize your seat. Let's give you a little inspiration to get the perfect seat and then find you exactly what you're looking for. So they curate deals for you to make it easier. They give you the super deal. They give you the seat view, lowest price guarantee, and the all-in pricing. That makes it perfect. It's taking the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time picks. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNBA. You get $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Create an account and redeem LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDON NBA. Download the Game Time app today. What time is it? It's game time. David Locke with you. Thank you very much for being part of Locked On Jazz. Locked On NBA, by the way, launching out. Still with you. And NBA newsletters. Pretty excited about this. This is the next big launch. Should be Monday for you. Get you to sign up. You'll get the ultimate Utah Jazz newsletter, the ultimate NBA newsletter. I'm teasing it early to you guys. You will get in your newsletter, you'll get an article from me. You will get all the links to important Jazz information, whether it's written Locked On or not, somewhere else. You'll get a national NBA article every single day with all the links to the important NBA stuff and a fantasy tip from Josh Lloyd, our Locked On Fantasy Basketball host. It's the ultimate one-stop newsletter. It comes on Monday. If all goes well. You'll know if it doesn't. Nobody else will, but you will. Last night's how the youngsters are going to work. And it's great. So we can all want a lot out of Taylor and be asking out Taylor. And Taylor will, I think, inevitably get one person to tweet every single night that he's absent and not a part of the game. And at the end of the night, Taylor will have played 28 minutes. He'll have 9 rebounds, 8 assists. Perfect. He had 2 mammoth plays. He had a big corner 3 mammoth plays. He had a big corner 3. He had an awesome jam follow. And he actually had an isolation play in the middle of the lane where they gave him the Lauri Markkanen ball in the middle. It's terrific. Absolutely terrific. That's what we should expect out of Taylor. If that's Taylor's box score line every night, +1, 9 points, 8 rebounds, that's fabulous. He cannot create his own shot yet. He cannot put it on the deck and make plays yet. He's going to have to learn these skills. His dribbling is not good, but he's an incredible athlete. He can play hard, and he has to stay engaged in the game throughout, despite the fact he's not getting the ball. It's really hard to do. And we have to understand that, yeah, there's going to be 15-minute stretches where it's like, oh, Taylor played and got 1 shot off. The game's got to come to him. But that's it. 28 minutes is fabulous. If he does that every night, he gets his 1,800, he gets his development, and he can use that incredible frame and athleticism to start to develop the rest of his game. Cody Williams, 20 minutes last night and closed the game. Again, 3 shots, 20 minutes, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 turnovers, fine. Much more aggressive, came off some curls and really aggressively went to the basket, got himself in trouble once or twice, fine. But he closed the game last night because he's probably our best on-ball defender that we have on the roster right now. And he came out aggressively willing to shoot the basketball. Again, he doesn't have the burst to go beat you off the bounce yet. He's not physically strong enough to hold his ground yet. He's 19 years old. There's limitations to what we should expect out of him. But if he can play 20 minutes a night for 70 games this year and play 1,400 minutes, that's outstanding. Bryce Sensabaugh, 16 minutes last night. It's great. It's probably what he needs. Maybe we can get him up to 20 at some point. He took 2 shots. He had 2 rebounds. He had an assist. He's out on the floor. He's getting time. And Isaiah Collier will get 19. Or probably 14. Because Keyonte George will go from 29 to 34 at some point. Patty Mills played those 19 last night because Collier was out. And that's why Patty Mills is there. He kept things under control, played it well. Only had one turnover in 19 minutes. Sensabaugh only had one turnover in 16 minutes. So that's really, okay, Walker played 28 minutes. Perfect. John Collins played 20. That's probably how it's going to be most of the year. We'll see. That's hard for John. That's way less than he usually plays. That's probably what it's going to be. Some nights will be different, but that's probably what it's going to be most nights. Taylor Hendricks played 28 minutes. That's probably what it's going to be. Keyonte played 29. I'm going to guess that's 34. And we talked about Keyonte and Walker. They're both terrific. And then Cody Williams is going to play 20. He played last night. What he did is he played 16 minutes kind of backing up Lauri and snuck in an extra 4 to close the game defensively. And then Sensabaugh played 16 minutes as he and Colin Sexton kind of worked those minutes. And Jordan Clarkson worked those. Jordan Clarkson and Colin Sexton each played 24. That's those 48 minutes, really. Bryce Sensabaugh playing a little bit of the Taylor Hendricks minutes, extra Taylor Hendricks minutes last night. There were 20 of those. Sensabaugh got 16 of them, and then Cody probably got the other 4 late in the game. And that's how it played out last night. It's going to be a little different, but that's pretty close to what we should expect. And we shouldn't be expecting Taylor Hendricks to go be taking 14 shots and dropping 20 points. Or Cody Williams taking 13 shots and dropping 18 points. That's just not who they are yet. And so this is exactly what we're looking at this year. The thing we got to get rid of is 24 turnovers. And the irony is the turnovers were 6 by Jordan Clarkson, 5 by Lauri Markkanen, 4 by Colin Sexton, 3 by Cody Williams and Keyonte George. Lauri's 5 are the Jazz trying to play him more one-on-one in traffic as a 7-footer dribbling and getting it swiped away. Jordan's 6 were a bit just kind of Willie Jordan-esque, Jordan stuff. Just not totally knowing where his teammates are, getting himself in trouble. They swipe. DeMar DeRozan gets his hands on balls. They do a lot of different things in there that I think are pretty, that I think we have to make. They're going to be a decent turnover team. They weren't last year, but I think they will be this year. But Jordan can't turn the ball over 6 times in 24 minutes. That's how you go minus 11. So Jordan, ironically, it's Jordan and Lauri that turned it over last night. It wasn't, as I've been saying all week, we're going to have turnovers because you have Keyonte George and Isaiah Collier maintaining the basketball. That's going to be the reality of it. That wasn't it. So it's on those guys. It's on the vets to not turn it over. Lauri's hard. We're asking Lauri to do more than he's done before with the basketball in his hands, and that's causing turnovers. And so you'll probably have to live with some of that out of Lauri, but 5's too many. NBA came out with their top 100 NBA players, their NBA rank, or excuse me, ESPN came out with their NBA rank. The only Jazz player that is ranked is Lauri Markkanen. So none of the other players, Colin Sexton really, I guess, would be the only one, stayed in the top 100. Lauri is, ironically enough, 33. Rudy Gobert's 34. And Chet Holmgren's 32. I could not disagree with this more. So, first of all, how is Chet Holmgren ranked ahead of Rudy Gobert? I think Chet Holmgren's going to be terrific. But Rudy Gobert was the defensive player of the year last year, averaged 14 points and 13 rebounds. And they were the number 1 defense by a mile, which is also what I would have Rudy Gobert last year, at least. Maybe this is what they're projecting for this year. Last year, I'd have Rudy Gobert ahead of Lauri Markkanen. I'm going to be honest. Lauri Markkanen didn't do something that single-handedly made his team number 1 in some category. And Rudy Gobert single-handedly made his team number one defensively. And by the way, not to get in a Rudy Gobert defense thing, but they were plus 95 when he was on the floor in the playoffs. So don't tell me that he got played off the floor in the playoffs. They were plus 95. And how you have Chet Holmgren ahead of Lauri Markkanen, I don't know. So maybe it's just all projection, but that seems weird to me. They have Cat ahead of them. I don't see that. And Sabonis is ahead. So here's where Lauri is. Lauri's at 33. Chet's at 32. Jamal Murray's at 31. He dropped a lot down from 17th. Cat's at 30th. Pretty great offensive player. Sabonis is at 29th. Jimmy Butler goes from 12th to 28th. Zion's at 27. De'Aaron Fox at 26. Kyrie's at 25. Hard to start putting Lauri ahead of any of these people. Paulo Banchero's at 24. Dame Lillard's at 23. Kawhi's at 22. Paul George is 21. Ja Morant. Paul George, Lauri's interesting to me, but Paul George is really good defensively, though we'll see how he is at 34 years old. Ja Morant's at 20. Tyrese Maxey, 19. Bam Adebayo, 18. Like hard. Donovan, 17. Hard to quibble there. Rudy Gobert's going the other way. Rudy Gobert's 34. Scotty Barnes, 35. Drew Holiday, 36. Trae Young, 37. Mikal Bridges, 38. Derek White, 39. Brandon Ingram, 40. I would have Lauri above all this. So I think Lauri's close. I think the Rudy Gobert thing's weird, considering the year he had last year. But, and I think the Chet thing's a little weird to have him that high right now. He's really good. Really good. And the Thunder were 17 games better last year, and he was the main addition. So maybe I shouldn't be dismissing it at all. He's really good. He's assists, threes, blocks, does it all. But anyway, I don't think there's a lot of guys that are 7 feet tall that shoot 49% from the field, 40% from three, and 90% from the free throw line. So I think Lauri is pretty special. All right, that is Locked on Jazz today. Thanks so much for tuning in. Hope you have a great one. Thank you very much for being a part of the show. Being a part of all we're building at Locked On. We'll send you now on video to the first ever national 24/7 channel, Locked On Sports Today. If you're on audio, Locked On NBA is coming out. We're going to have 2 episodes a day here for you shortly on Locked On NBA, bringing it all to you. Plus, we're going to launch a 24/7 NBA channel for you at Amazon Fire and YouTube. All sorts of fun things coming at Locked On. Have a great day.